bear in mind that even as you are appraising your students, they are appraising you as well. I hope that you will do your best to form lasting bonds with your flock. Oh, and I look forward to witnessing your prowess in the mock battle.
Well, we'll see how it goes. I think in hard difficulty, which is what we're on, everybody is, like, the other class is level 3, while we are all level 1, so it's not as bad as Maddening, where everybody starts at level 7, and you're like, why do all these people have 7 months of training ahead of me? Like, what is this?
The church has changed a lot since my time. Sedith, Hanneman, Manuela, Yuritsa, and many of the knights. None of them were around 20 years ago.
I think. Greeting. Apparently, there is to be a mock battle between the houses. Interesting, but I hope you understand that I have far more important things on my mind. My research is proceeding slower than I would like. Your crest is something of a challenge. Frustrating, yet also quite intriguing. I was wondering if I might get a sample of your flesh. A couple square inches would do. No? Perhaps some blood? A couple of drops on the device are all I need.
This is why I said he is very close to the line of mad scientist. Like, no, you cannot just cut some flesh off of me. I'll give a blood sample, yes,
Thank you, Professor. Those few drops of blood are invaluable to my research. Oh, so much more to learn. I think.
A mock battle? This early? Wow, Professor. They're not giving you any time to settle in, are they? Well, no need to worry. If you get hurt, I am more than capable of healing you. You'll not even have a scar.
Oh, that's so nice of you.
I think.
Captain Gerald has hardly changed since 20 years ago. I've aged at least 3 times as much as he has. Why am I talking about this? Oh, right. It was because I just overheard Tomas remarking on the subject. The leader of a legendary group of knights returned. People are bound to be talking about the old captain.
Yeah, and there's a good reason for why this is happening. I'm not actually sure if we're going to... I know it's explained in some support conversation, but I'm not sure if we'll get to that one. So I'm just gonna say it right now. The way Gerald originally came to serve in the Knights of Zeros was that he is... he was basically in a battle where he protected Rhea, and he was badly hurt. So Rhea gave him some of her blood, and that is how he actually came to have the Crest of Syros, because she has the Crest of Syros as well. And that is how he got his longevity, which makes sense when we get to who exactly Rhea is in Chapter 11. Traveler's Journal. A record consisting largely of the world outside of Fodlan. The author's identity is unknown, but they have clearly experienced these places firsthand. Almyra. A kingdom to the east of Fodlan. Its territory borders that of the Leicester Alliance, with the precipitous mountain range known as Fodlan's Throat acting as the dividing line. Its people maintain a strong legacy of horsemanship and relish in the thrill of battle. This vast kingdom is rich in fertile prairies, deserts, and mountain ranges. Albinea. So this is basically England. Frigid climate, home to numerous rare and valuable species of flora and fauna. Human population extremely small due to the intense cold and frozen earth, which is unsuitable for growing grains or other food crops. Strangely enough, Albinian berries are used in many, many recipes, so at the very least they seem to have some good forests. Morphis is the name of a metropolis of magic in the southeast of Fodlan, as well as the boundless desert that surrounds it. In the distant past, it was called the City of Illusion. Thanks to an intricate web of trading routes, rumors of its profound and mysterious magic continue to spread. I am actually very sorry that we don't get to see any students from Morphis, or any teachers from Morphis. And Malguardian, as for your question, I don't exactly remember how old Alois is. I think he was like he was basically a squire when he last saw Gerald, and I think he's now in his 40s. I have to look it up again. We'll see when we recruit him. We can have a look at his bio then. Dagda. A continent to the southwest of Fotland. Due to its extreme distance from Fotland, rumors of this relatively unknown world abound. Some claim it's a tropical rainforest, while others insist it's merely a giant frozen plateau. In truth, this vast continent stretches far into the north and south and supports a wide variety of terrain and climates. We have Shamir, who is from Dagda, so she will also speak a bit about that. I think he also means, like, just in case of, like, how weary he feels, because Alois actually has taken on quite a few responsibilities since then. Bridget, this is where Petra comes from. An archipelago nested between Fotland and Dagda. It is a land of plenty that is often heralded as the perfect union of the gentle sea and nature's bounty. Both Fotland and Dagda have long vied to claim this territory as their own, so poor little Bridget is stuck in between Dagda and Fotland, and both are just like, hey, that looks like it would make a nice colony. And Bridget probably just wants them to fuck off. Shreng was once the name of an enormous peninsula to the north of Fotland. Today, only the northern half has kept the moniker, while the southern half now falls under the dominion of the Holy Kingdom of Fargus. Several warlike clans call this great wasteland their home. Certain areas of this region are comprised of rocky desert. We will learn through the supports and the dialogues that there has been conflict with the people of Shreng for like hundreds of centuries, and this annexation of the southern half basically happened because 10 or 15 years ago, something like that, the former king of Fargus, Dimitri's dad, actually put his foot down and was like, okay, enough. We're gonna draw a hard line now and actually finish this conflict for now. Dusker, a peninsula to the north of Fotland and the west of Shreng. The people who once inhabited this area were decimated, and it now falls under the dominion of the Holy Kingdom of Fargus. The land boasts nothing noteworthy to make it a desirable travel destination, but rumors of valuable minerals waiting to be unearthed abound. This seemingly innocuous description is actually centered around the event that is the major source of trauma for pretty much every single one of the Blue Lions. And it's one of the things that I love about this house, that every character is affected to some extent by the same event that happened. And it causes different struggles for each and every single one of them. And actually is one of the most important things for Dimitri is to find out who really caused the tragedy that caused Dusker to be basically steamrolled and annexed, and its people to be almost genocided. So this is actually a pretty serious thing that happened there. And then there's the Ogma Mountains, an enormous mountain range somewhat south of central Fotland. To the west it forms the border between the Empire and the Kingdom, surrounding Garrick Mark and cutting across Empire territory. It's home to many animals and plants that cannot be found elsewhere, as well as plethora of valuable mineral deposits. So this is basically where the church is located. The church has this like Ogma Mountains territory that's right in between the three individual regions, and then that's it. We're not going to look at the history of the houses because that's just going to take forever.
Professor, I hear you are lacking in knowledge of the Church of Seros. The library contains countless documents about the teaching and the history of the church. I encourage you to make good use of them.
But I do want to look at the books about the Church of Seros because there is actually some really interesting stuff in there. Let's start with book 1. The Revelation. The goddess is all things. She is heaven above and land below. She is eternity incarnate. She is the present, the past, and the future. Her eyes see all, her ears hear all, her hands receive all. She who was graced with the holy word of the divine goddess, who bore witness to her magnificence, is the one called Seros. She is the messenger of the heavens, the bridge between the lands above and below, and her blessings shall bring tidings of peace to all. This is not entirely accurate. The first part actually about the goddess is somewhat accurate. This, not so much. A bit of a polished history there. With the goddess's omnipotence and wisdom to guide her, Seros ensures that her will be done. As the goddess's sword, Seros wards away evil. We saw that in the beginning. As the goddess's child, Saros makes emperors of mortals. She did that too. She crowned the first emperor of Adrestia. As the goddess's wings, Saros elevates her people. She did actually provide a lot of technical advances and such to technological advances to Adrestia when it was first founded. And as the goddess's voice, Saros spreads the word of love, which is basically the teachings of Saros. That sublime sword is entrusted to you. We will actually get the sublime sword. Those emperors are crowned before you. Those wings clear your path. The voice whispers words of trust. May the blessings of the goddess follow you always. Well, not always, but to some extent. We're not going to go through the creation history right now, but what I do want to talk about is this, the 5 Eternal Commandments, because a lot of people use this book to say, oh, look how evil the Church of Saros is. So I want to talk about this for a moment. The 5 Eternal Commandments. Dare not doubt or deny the power or existence of the goddess. This is because the goddess does actually exist. Like, literally, the book was written by a relative of the goddess. The goddess does actually exist. She's the little gremlin who's inside Byleth's head. She does actually exist. You as the player know that. Dare not speak the goddess's name in vain. Okay, cool. Dare not disrespect your father, mother, or any who serve the goddess. Okay. Dare not abuse the power gifted to you by the goddess. A lot of people tend to forget that when they say, oh, the church is responsible for the crest system. It's like, the church literally preaches that you should not abuse the power of the gifts gifted to you by the goddess. The crests are considered gifts by the goddess. Literally, do not abuse them. The church definitely does not condone the way that some nobles treat their crests and their children with crests. And then finally, dare not kill, harm, lie, or steal unless such acts are committed by the will of the goddess. And here we have a wonderful case of the localization messing things up, because in the original Japanese, what it says here is, dare not kill, harm, lie, or steal unless for a very good reason. But localization decided to turn that into unless committed by the will of the goddess, which sounds significantly more religiously fanatic. So thank you for that, Tree Houses. That was a wonderful localization flop you had there. It's only cost like 3 years of discourse in the fandom. Thank you very much. And then, yeah, the goddess cares for and protects all that is beautiful in the world. The goddess will never deny the splendors of love, affection, joy, peace, faith, kindness, temperance, modesty, or patience. Follow her example, and in doing so, abide her laws. A lot of people always like to, in the fandom, like to paint the church as homophobic, which I find is hilarious because the goddess is bisexual, the archbishop is bisexual, 2 of her knights are bisexual, one of them is openly simping for the archbishop, and there is not a single word in her scriptures about, like, homophobia, about people not being allowed to love somebody of the same gender. It's like, where are you guys getting your headcanons from? I really want to know. Like, anyway, we're not going to read all the rest of this because it's going to take forever. We might get to it in later streams. I might come back and do like 1 book every single stream so we don't spend half an hour here just reading.
Served as the monastery's librarian for decades. Actually, he was away from Garreg-Mach for a spell, but he returned to his post last year. There is no one as familiar with the monastery's archives as he is.
Yeah, haha. What might happen to him? What might have happened to him in that 1 year? We're going to find out. And once you actually know what's happening, all those little pieces of dialogue make sense. So this is one of those games where it's really worth doing a second playthrough, just because there's so many little calls forward to things that happen later in the story. And once you actually know the story and you play it again, you're like, oh, right, it's because of this or that thing that happens 5 chapters down the line. So suddenly things make a lot more sense.
Hey there. Yes. Hi, Professor. Have you gotten around to visiting the library yet? It's absolutely loaded with valuable information. I only wish I wasn't burdened with the necessity of sleep, so I could spend all my hours there. In a manner, yes. But it's more that I want to learn as much as I possibly can.
Students giving you a hard time? Not yet. But we'll get there.
Professor?
Here's an idea. There are two types of crests. Major crests manifest their power most effectively, while minor crests are slightly weaker. It is said that the closer a person's blood relation is to various saints and heroes, the higher their chance of bearing a major crest. Of course, there are also examples of major crests manifesting in children whose parents bear no crest whatsoever. The exact nature of how and why crests are inherited is still a mystery.
So yeah, this thing about major crests being able to appear in children who have no, in children of parents who have no crest at all makes me think that it's probably something like a recessive gene, but like multiple recessive genes. But God knows how it actually works.
I hear a member of House Resvel, the ruling family of the Empire, has entered the Officers' Academy for the first time in ages. It is said that the Adrestian Empire's very founding was aided by none other than Saint Seros. That is why the crest of Seros is on the Imperial flag.
Yep.
In recent years, a rift has developed between the Empire and the Church. Let us hope this will be a good opportunity for both parties to reforge their close relationship of years past.
Oh, you sweet summer child. I think it's in Crimson Flower where we actually meet a monk who puts a timestamp on this, and I think it's something like 120 or 150 years since the church basically got booted out of Adrestia, and Adrestia cut all ties with the church. So yeah, Edelgard is apparently the first one in 120 years. The first one of House Resvalk who's joined the Academy in 120 years. And that will become relevant later.
Hello, Professor. I have a teeny tiny question for you, if that's alright. You haven't seen a man with hair the same color as mine, a scowling face, and a generally gloomy demeanor, have you? Well, yes. It's a bit difficult to explain. Please just let me know if you do see him, okay?
Alright, we'll keep an eye out. We are going to see him, we're actually also going to recruit him.
Indeed! As part of our commitment to the goddess, the knights undertake various missions across all of Fodlan. Assisting with the education of young nobles is also a part of our sacred duty.
Alright, let's see. I think we can explore a little bit more here. Ah! Herring bait. Nice. It's always worth it going through the monastery at least once at the beginning of the month.
Right.
Just to see if you can find any stuff lying around that you can use later.
Alright. Greetings, Professor. Nothing to report. By the by, have you ever regretted a decision and wished you could go back and undo it? It's too bad there's no lesson for how to turn back the old clock, huh? But I suppose a bad decision isn't worth all that fuss anyhow.
Says he, talking to us who has a time-turning gremlin in our head. Like, okay. We have an actual goddess in our brain who can turn back time, so but we're not gonna tell him that. We're just gonna ignore that for now.
Listen.
Alright, mint leaves, black sandsteel. Ooh, those are actually good. Like black sandsteel we can use for critical weapons, and
Oh.
the tea we can use later for having tea parties with people. So that's good. Let's actually go over here and talk to the remaining students.
Hey, Teach. I hear there's gonna be a mock battle between the houses. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a bit concerned about facing an elite mercenary like you. Maybe take it easy on us. What do you say?
Yeah, that's like every time you go through a monastery, like if you've done it long enough, you're gonna be like, wait, did I just see something twinkle there? For some of them, like the ones that you can find in the students' quarters and the lost items, these are not random, but the tea and the black sandsteel and such, they are kind of random.
Oh, Professor! Have you adjusted to life at the academy yet? Me, I'm still not used to it. I'm not one for all this studying and training.
Again, this is the girl who you give her an axe and she will just demolish everything.
I'm Captain Gerald's first and best apprentice. I can beat anyone, Professor. Even you if I have to. It may have been only for a short time, but I learned from the absolute best.
Yeah, it was like 1 week, Leonie. Don't pat yourself in the back so much.
I was just heading back to my room. Bye! I don't like to come out unless I really have to. Hope you're okay with that, Professor.
Well, right now you're not my student yet, so I am okay with that. But once I recruit you, you'd better come to class, young miss.
Professor? Hey, Professor. If you got spare time, wanna join me for a trip into town? There's an inn that serves the most amazing food. It's one of my favorite places to eat. You simply must come try it with me.
Are you going to propose to me again? Because
Professor,
yes, the answer is no.
I've got a small favor to ask.
Yeah, if I have to eat in that filthy dining hall, I prefer to invite a cute girl to dine with me. If you are male Byleth, he will actually talk about which of the girls he thinks are hot when you talk to him. So he won't invite you to dinner. He'll just talk about how hot he thinks the girls are. He's one of those characters for whom a lot of dialogues change if you are male or female Byleth. Do we have anything over here? Not yet. We can't go into any of the rooms.
The Great Tree Moon is the best time of the year for naps. I could just forget all about my assignment.
So the Great Tree Moon is April, I think. I don't know about you guys, but I would not exactly want to go for a nap outside in April, where I live.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm a little busy.
If you're looking for the greenhouse, it's right there. See it? Looks like a greenhouse. That's it.
Cyril is just like, let me please get to work. Thank you very much.
Oh, did you come to look at the plants too? The greenhouse here is really incredible. There are so many rare flowers I'd never seen back home, and herbs I never even knew existed. My adoptive father is the real expert. He taught me everything I know about herbs, including how to tell them apart and how to make medicines. You should try looking around the greenhouse sometime if the mood strikes you. Maybe something will catch your eye.
Unfortunately, we are actually going to meet his adoptive father, and it is not going to end well. Okay, let's do some gardening. This is honestly one of the most important things you can do in the entire game, because this will allow you to get stat boosters pretty easily. And it will allow you to get materials for meal sharing, which is very important for recruiting people. So always unlock the greenhouse as soon as you can, and come back there every single week that you're in the monastery. Alright, let's see if there's anything we can pick up over here. We cannot talk to him yet.
Goddess, I pray to thee. Please protect us.
Alright, anything over here? No.
Unbelievable.
The Imperial Princess, the Crown Prince, and the heir to the Alliance's leading house. This is one exceptional year, that's for sure. If you're a teacher here, you better watch your step. If anything were to happen to those kids, well, suffice to say that it could harm the reputation of the Church of Seros, which we've spent almost a millennium establishing.
Yeah, and I'd also probably be a head shorter, because I'm pretty sure some of those parents would like to have words with me. Then again, this is a military academy, so everybody who goes here to study battle and strategy and fighting, so you know. I wish I had a crest. Don't worry, dude. Like, with your luck, you would probably end up having a crest that's like super awful. Like the Blythed crest, which just consumes all your weapon uses. Like, be glad you don't. Because that's the other thing, a crest is not necessarily always a blessing. Dimitri's crest, for example, the crest of Byleth, it allows him to do double damage, but it also consumes double weapon uses when it activates. And you can run through weapons so fast if that thing activates. And the only positive thing I can say is that it only activates on combat arts, which is why I never use combat arts with Dimitri. But it actually fits in with how he is canonically so strong that he just breaks weapons on accident and breaks other things on accident. And he absolutely hates it.
Here at the monastery, I have had many great learnings from many great people. I am hopeful to have learnings from you, too. As forever, I will do my best trying.
Bless you, Petra. I want to recruit you so fast. What did you want? You wanted... Let me look this up, actually. I think she wanted Riding C. I do actually have a document where I can look all of this up, so... This is the kind of game for which you need spreadsheets. She wants Dexterity 10 plus and Riding rank C. Okay. That should be doable.
Hello there, Professor. Well, I call you that, but I am afraid I am not a student here myself. Should the opportunity arise, I would love to become a student and begin my studies in earnest. The monastery is kind enough to provide a sanctuary for my brother and I. He's the only family I have.
Well, you are going to get your wish.
Help me with a favor.
You're going to get your wish, Flame.
I'm busy. Do you want something? I can't right now, but let's fight soon. I look forward to beating you.
Ugh, I really need to eat. I can't hold out until the next meal. Why can't the dining hall stay open all the time? I need to keep eating if I want to get stronger.
Alright, now let's unlock the dining hall, which is also incredibly important for recruiting. The thing to keep in mind is, if you use today's special, it does not consume any ingredients. It does not consume any meat, vegetables, or anything like that. But you also only get half the support points that you would normally get. Whereas if you use the full menu, which we cannot do right now because we pretty much have no food, you get the full support points, but you also need to use up ingredients. Some ingredients you can buy, some you can grow in the greenhouse, and some you basically just gotta hope that you find them randomly. Or you can fish. Fishing is actually going to be, in Chapter 9 we're going to do a shit ton of fishing, and that's gonna take care of our dining hall needs for at least 6 chapters or so. Especially this one, Fisherman's Bounty, and the 2 fish saute. That's gonna take care of so much of our meal sharing needs. But yeah, that's just something to keep in mind for when you need to raise affection, is that the support points are reduced if you are using this. So let's see, actually. Do we have anybody here that we actually want to pair up with each other? No. Yeah, and of course, because this is Sylvain's idea, you can only invite the girls. You can only invite the women. So we're going to invite Mercedes and Annette, because the other good thing about meal sharing is that it will fully restore your motivation. Especially if it's, well, I should say, if the people like it, if they have the blue arrow, it means they like the food and it's going to restore full motivation. If they neither like it nor hate it, it will only restore half motivation, and if they hate it, it will basically, I think, restore like one tiny little bit of it. So for now, we're just gonna go with Mercedes and Annette. We're gonna get both of them fully motivated, which is gonna help us with the lectures next month.
Today's dish was so good. Oh, but not as good as your homemade sweets, Mercy.
You're too kind. Maybe I'll bake some for you next time, Professor.
And as you can see, sometimes characters have special dialogue when they dine together. That's when it's 2 characters who actually have relevant backstory. You can find all the dialogue on a very neat little website called fedatamine.com. That's fedatamine.com, which has basically all the dialogue from the game. It's basically data mined text right from the game. I have used that one so much for reference. And now before we finish, we're going to do some fishing, so we have unlocked the fishing pond. We're only going to do this one, and then we're going to keep on saving up our bait for the event in Chapter 9. Because also, as you just saw, when you go fishing, you get Professor experience. And in Chapter 9, there will be an event that will get you 2 or 3 or even 4 times the fish as usual. And since you get Professor XP per fish, it is best to just save up all your bait for that event and basically get 3 to 4 times the experience that you normally would get. It also means I'm going to be doing 2.5 hours of fishing, and I'm not actually sure if I will do that on stream or off stream because it's going to be horribly boring. Anyway, let's report back to Flame.
You have helped me so much.
Quest complete, we're done, and I think that's it in terms of quests. Yes. So yeah, we have half an hour, let's do the mock battle, and then I think we're going to be done with that.